McAllen, Texas. Politics, nasty stuff. He's scum of the earth. Nobody needs to remember your face. I am 100% for that. You've had your shot. Immigrations, human traffickers, instead of trying to get to Mars. Wood chipper prison time back when England owned half the world. Repeat offender, they just talk all kinds of smack about people. Public shaming. I think that's a good idea when somebody does something that egregious. Well, this is a fitting shirt for tonight's subject. While scrolling Instagram and enjoying some of the more comical posts by I.C.E, I did come across this one, and I'm going to go ahead and read from some of the articles off of my phone. ICE Rio Grande Valley investigation results in the sentencing of convicted human smuggler for possessing images of SA on young children. Try that in a small town. Yep. McAllen, Texas. ICE, in conjunction with human trafficking, they snagged this guy, who is, as best as I can tell from everything I've read, a U.S. citizen, unfortunately. He's been sentenced to 20 years. And he was snagged back in 2024, but I'll get to that. Anyway, sentenced to 20 years for possessing images of, nasty stuff, following an investigation conducted by U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, Homeland Security Investigations, Rio Grande Valley Child Exploitation Task Force, with assistance from U.S. Border Patrol, Raymondville Police Department, and Willacy County Sheriff's Office. That was a lot of involvement. Jose Rodriguez Jr., 44, from Lyford, Texas, was sentenced July 16th by U.S. District Judge Drew Tipton to 240 months to reflect on his poor life choices. He did have a prior sentencing for similar behaviors, which means that his prior sentencing didn't result in him reflecting on his poor choices and changing anything. But hopefully, at some point during this 20-year stay, he gets some meaningful assistance with that. In handing down the prison term, the court noted Rodriguez's conduct in that case, talking about his previous charge, which involved, he's a bad person. He insert the wood chipper ad here.
2 words, wood chipper.
Because he's scum of the earth. I am 100% for that. If you find a way to make that legal to execute those people instead of putting them in prison for forever, you just don't need that in society. So there's no point in letting him back out to continue doing that again. I mean, he's already had a shot. He went to jail for 13 years, not 15, 13 years. It ended, the first one, it ended up being charged as aggravated SA of a child. So that was what he was convicted of the first time. And then from what the investigators were able to discover, he had a history of downloading that kind of garbage off the internet. Statement from Homeland Security Investigations. Homeland Security Investigations remains unwavering in its mission to protect children from exploitation. This 240-month sentence demonstrates the severe consequences for those who engage in child crimes. I'm not going to say that because YouTube gets funny about that. HSI will continue to work with our partners to ensure offenders are brought to justice and vulnerable victims are safeguarded. That is per Deputy Special Agent in Charge, Mark Lippa. Let's see. The jury. I like to compliment the jury on this as well because they did an outstanding job. In a case such as this where the investigators had found not just physical evidence of him trafficking, but also the digital evidence of what he'd been doing, the jury took a grand total of 15 minutes to reach a guilty verdict, which pretty easy. I mean, I think they made the right call there. I did actually, somewhere in this video, I will put the post from ICE, Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. Anyway, I did manage to find his mugshots, but you know what? If you're a piece of garbage like that, nobody needs to remember your face. That is a face that should not be circulated. You know, he was convicted. Part of the conviction was for possessing images of kids and all kinds of nonsense. Like, the guilty verdict is correct. Biggest thing I take issue with is the prison time. I personally think that should be, once you're proven guilty on something of that nature, especially as a repeat offender, I think you've had your shot. maybe we should bring back penal colonies like they used to have back when England owned half the world, because that's how Australia got started. And they just shipped all the bad people over there.
Welcome to the penal colony, whose prisoners you are, and from which there is no escape. Of course, more serious offenses are dealt with in this fashion.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe Musk, instead of trying to get to Mars like right now, maybe if he could build an artificial island somewhere. Or you know what? We've got a whole continent that's really not being used. Maybe we should do that. I think that's a good idea. Anyway, repeat offender, I genuinely don't think they deserve any more chances. I mean, the first time, if you look into the details of the case, like his first conviction was for trying to essay I believe it was a 9-year-old, and he had a 8-year-old tied up to watch. Like, you're sick in the head. Like, you definitely need to go. It's past time to go.
You're no good, tramp. Don't come back.
Anyway, all that to say, I'm going to try to start doing a mini series, just following along with the ICE page on Instagram, because they do an outstanding job in the marketing department of how they frame their posts. I already did a clip about this. They just talk all kinds of smack about the people they arrest. And it's awesome because they're human traffickers, they're drug traffickers, they're violent criminals of one nature or another. So is it good to, shame them as publicly as you can? Absolutely. I am 100% for that. The one I saw today, the guy basically was using a car to try to kill people. But I am all for that kind of public shaming when somebody does something that egregious. With that being said, if you enjoy my take on this, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. It's a relatively new channel. We're trying to get this to take off. Like the video, share it, tell people about it. We're have to say we're, because this is me. I've got another channel that me and my brother run, and that I say we because it's two of us. I am trying to get this started, really just feeling out where we want to be with this, and to see what kind of an area in YouTube we can carve out. I did have a comment on the last reel about ICE that said we should just do a breakdown of their arrest posts, and I think that's great. We're going to try to go with that. Doing some other videos on other things as well. Besides that, this channel is basically just, me opening up my brain and giving my opinions on things. That could be anywhere from politics to current events to firearms to, just day-to-day life. So if you have enjoyed, you scroll through the rest of the channel, see any of the other videos, you enjoy it, please consider subscribing. It would help us out. That is it for now. See y'all in the next video.